possibly pitched as the next big India moment. The IOA has officially expressed India's interest to host 2036 Olympics, and this marks India's formal bid for global event. And Ahmedabad has been chosen as the host city for the bid. There are 10 countries that have shown interest in hosting the 2036 Games. Among them are Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey. Qatar, of course, coming off the success of hosting 2022 FIFA World Cup, which, by the way, had its own share of controversials, including the deaths of labourers at the World Cup stadium construction sites. Turkey, quite strategically located between Europe and Asia, offering compelling narrative of inclusivity and connectivity. Well, before we shift our focus on India, let's look at some past Olympics. Paris 2024, for that matter. Paris organizers had to scrap Olympic open water swim training in a highly polluted scene, where swimming otherwise is banned. Ever since the river was chosen as a location for the triathlon and the marathon swimming, French authorities had been in a race against time to clean up that waterway, a huge challenge by all means. An Australian woman was allegedly gang raped before the Games. And remember, the entire Paris Olympics cost around $8.2 billion. And the cost overrun was over 100% of the budget, of the estimated budget. We have Tokyo 2022. The total cost was around $15.4 billion. Of course, you had a lot about the quality of the rivers, the bays that were concerned, safety of aquatic events that were happening. Cost overrun for when you compare it to the estimates that were made, again, 100% over the budgeted estimates. Then you have the Rio 2016. Marred by severe water pollution, water sports impacted. Bacteria levels posed a huge health risk to athletes. Spike in violence and crime during the Games. All of this was just about the backdrop. But when you look at the cost was at a $13.1 billion. And do you know how much did it exceed by? Finally, when it was run, when the Olympics was held, it was a whopping 352% over the budget. That's what the Rio 2026 was about. Rio 2016, for that matter. Well, turning our lens to India, the bid is important because hosting the Olympics could be a massive boost to not only India's sporting ecosystem, but also a chance to flex the muscles in the global sporting world. Cities hosting Olympics gain temporarily from jobs due to infrastructure improvements. And of course, this huge infrastructure push that happens, not only just for the sports infra, but so many associated infras that would be required. And cities just seem to continue to benefit from it all. For example, in Rio itself, there were around 15,000 new hotels that were constructed to accommodate the tourists that would flow in. Thousands of sponsors, media, athletes and spectators typically visit a host city for 6 months before and 6 months after the Olympics, which brings in additional revenue by all means. But then, any of the arenas constructed, and some of the most beautiful arenas will be coming up on your screen, but any of these arenas constructed for the Olympics are not one-time costs. Rather, they represent ongoing expenses. For example, Sydney Stadium costs around $30 million annually in maintenance. Similarly, Beijing's Bird's Nest Arena cost at least $10 million in annual maintenance. And there are flip sides as well. It wasn't until 2006 that Montreal finished paying off its debt from the 1976 editions that it hosted. So while Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the 78th Independence Day celebrations from the historic Red Fort on August 15th, he said that the nation dreams of hosting the Olympic Summer Games in 2036 and will be preparing for that. Well, the truth is, this dream, it's not Prime Minister Modi alone who has spoken of this dream. There have been pushes in the past as well, attempts to move towards at least hosting the Olympics. None of that really came out to its completion. But there are skeptics like Congress MP Karti Chidambaram who are calling this a quote-unquote vanity project, asking instead of focus on sports persons, their training and medals. Meaning some of the big sporting events. I mean, let's just look at some of the big sporting events really that have happened in India. And we've had the 2010 Commonwealth Games. You have the 2011 and 23 Cricket World Cup, the 2017 FIFA Under-17 Men's World Cup, and the 2022 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. It's not like India has not hosted sporting events earlier, and not just sporting events, even international conferences, but the Olympics, of course, is a very different ballgame. I'm being joined at this point by Dr. Sunita Godara, who's an Asian Marathon Champion 1992, Sanjay Jha, who's an author, Ranjit Bajaj, who's a sports enthusiast, as well as Abhishek Sudhir, who's a political analyst. Thank you very much, all four of you. It feels nice to talk and to think that India would be hosting or could be hosting the Olympics. But it's not as simple as that. It's, of course, a lot of complexities involved, not just for the world of sports, but India as a country as a whole. There are others who would say if there's one country, if there are other countries who have done it, why not India? We'll get to all of that in between, but let me just start with you, Ranjit Bajaj, as a sports enthusiast, as somebody who followed sports very closely. How significant, how big a moment is this?
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you first for having me, ma'am. Ma'am, I think it's a huge moment. It's a watershed moment in Indian sports. Normally, like all the events you mentioned before were not global world events, even if the FIFA Under-17 World Cup was, but it was only football oriented and it was Under-17. Commonwealth Games, only the Commonwealth countries. Asian Games, only the Asian countries. And we've been independent now for over 75 years. And I think it's time enough for us as a major global superpower to be hosting an Olympics when the entire world has done it. And in fact, ma'am, it will be, people don't realize, it will give a new fill-up. So it's not just the Olympics, like Abhinandan used to say, it's not 4 years, it's every day you prepare for it, and it just happens, culminates in that 1 year. So the preparations will start for the Olympics now, if we actually get it. And that means it's a boost to the economy, it's a boost to all the sports people who will be trying to get medals for India in that Olympics. They will start preparing for it now, because that's how long the preparation is. And in fact, it's what kind of a great opportunity it will be, getting gold medals for India on Indian soil.
That's true. That's true. In fact, if I can get in Dr. Sunita Godara at this point, we all may have our differences, a different perspective, and we'll get to that, Dr. Sunita Godara. But, you know, just taking the point that there's going to be so much of preparations that would happen. Ahmedabad, there seems to be already preparations that are happening, and if we can have the graphics up and the visuals also of some of the sporting arenas, the construction that is happening. But Dr. Sunita Godara, I just want to try and understand why Ahmedabad? I mean, why Ahmedabad as the hosting city? Would you have a perspective on that?
See, now, okay, just now you said Ahmedabad, so I just want to say, see, we need 40,000 branded rooms for officials, 50,000 branded rooms for tourists when we hold the Olympics. Now, Ahmedabad at present, there are only 5,000 branded rooms. So see how much work has to be done if it is Ahmedabad city. For that matter, if we say any cosmopolitan city in India, not more than 15,000 branded rooms. Pune 5,000, Bombay, all these places, you know, we have to work like it's putting cart before the horse. There is a lot of preparation required. $10 billion we need for only direct cost for the Olympics. Then 10 billion, other 10 billions we need for the infrastructure or the facilities, everything. And 10 billion, the most important, which I feel as a Asian marathon champion, to prepare the athletes. And now, for 2036, what we need work on grassroots level kids, 8 years to 12 years, 8 years to 15 years. They will become, proper cream for the Olympics. So, have we started that work? So, somebody should tell me from where that money will come, how the preparation should start. If we have given the intent letter, so we should be working on that. And that work has to, it's a horrendous task, सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है ओलंपिक होगा, but the preparations are really, it's a horrendous task and lot of money required. So कहते हैं there is a time for everything, and like if you see, this is written 2036 Olympics. There is a project which we have prepared, given to PMO, given to sports ministry, everywhere. The concept is $1 to the government. This is no cost to government, no cost to public money, Olympic project. So we have to have such kind of projects in India so that there are brains working together. How to come out of it, who will spend that 10 billion or say $30 billion. So for that, we have to have a proper project, no cost to government, no cost to public money. Because if we spend public money, 80 crore people are given 5 kg ration to survive. How can we take out that public money to hold Olympics? Being a sports person, it looks very nice to listen, medals aayenge, ye aayega, wo aayega, but not with public money. It has to be no cost to government, and we have to come out with that kind of projects, that kind of brains. I have one with me, so that's why I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, you asked about, you were talking about Ahmedabad. I mean, let's just look at just some of the information that I could get. And if you could have the graphics of why Ahmedabad for 2036 Olympics. Largest cricket stadium in the world is what we're being told. 6,000 crore rupees master plan proposal ready. 300 acres of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel sports enclave to come up. 6 new stadiums with a total capacity of over 1 lakh. Proposed basketball arena with 5,000 seating capacity. It's up on your screens. There's a detailed plan, a tennis center to have a capacity of 10,000. Again to you at this point, Ranjit Bajaj, to what Ms. Godara has said, there are concerns, there are questions. India has just placed a bid. It's not happening in next 4 years. It's going to be 2036. Is this a starting point?
Yes, definitely. We have to start somewhere. I mean, unless you bid for it, you're not going to get it. But why would you why would you want to keep bidding for Commonwealth Games or Asian Games? I would say that would be a waste of money. If you have to spend somewhere, it should be the Olympics or any World Cup for that matter, or World Championships. Because we are a world superpower now, we need to be doing that even in the sports arena. And why we are not being able to do it? Because India doesn't host international events. When I say international events, again, I'm talking about world standard events, World Championships, World Cups. Yes, Cricket World Cup, because again, cricket, obviously. But other than that, we hardly do it. So not only that, it also, yes, we spend a lot of money, but indirectly, we earn a lot of money. The entire $30 billion, like Sudha ma'am said, where do you think is going to be spent? I think at least 20 billion of it is going to go back into the Indian economy. And there are governments in the world which give out doles just to people so that they can flood their money with the economy with money, and that just gives a jump start. I've seen studies which says yes, the end cost of Olympics is always a loss to the government. But if you look at it as an overall cost over the time it has been prepared, it gives a huge GDP boost of over 2 to 3 points to the national GDP in the years preparing, because you are going to be spending on stuff where the GDP goes up. That means infrastructure, roads, hotels, all the sports facilities. Now, like Sudha ma'am said rightly, we have to make sure that they don't become white elephants. Like in South Africa, the World Cup happened in football. After that, the stadiums were in shambles. So we need to make sure that not only are they sustainable, but the same ecosystem can be used for developing our sports people. It should not be that once these Olympics happen or before that, they are off limits, which right now it is. The most elite stadiums of our country are off limits to the grassroots. like Sudha ma'am said, unless and until we have, see, there's no point of hosting the Olympics if you're not going to be in the top 3 in the medal tally. Simple as that. And to do that, we have a long way to go.
That's a very tough call.
Along with the Olympic bid, if you want to show
very,
our
very
seriousness,
long way to go.
Yeah. No, we need to, ma'am. Ma'am, if we are going to go for the Olympics, we might as well aim for the gold medal as well. Why not? We've got 12 years to prepare. Unless you aim for it, like you said, ma'am, we're never going to get there.
Sanjay
So
Jha,
let's aim for the
despite your
gold, we might get,
skepticism,
yeah.
and despite your political positioning, let's also face you have a huge, huge sports repertoire expertise. How do you look at what's happened?
Well,
And where
I think
India
I
is?
completely agree with what Sudha ji has mentioned. And I think the previous panelist literally said that India should not be hosting the
Sunita.
Olympics. Hello?
That's right, that's right. That's right. Let me just correct everybody. It's Dr. Sunita Godara.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Mr. Sanjay Jha.
Yeah. So I completely agree with what Dr. Sunita mentioned earlier. Is absolutely true that we should focus on first winning medals. If I heard the previous gentleman, he basically said that India should not host the Olympics unless it can be in the top 3. Well, I'm sure he's aware, he seems to be a very intelligent person, that India won 6 medals, 1 silver and 5 bronze in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. So if he's expecting that in 12 years we'll be in the top 3, I think let's not try and kind of carry our fantasy too far. So by his own logic, India should not be hosting the Olympic Games. And I think the larger point is this, that if you look at an event today, Sneha, you'll find that a bridge, a concrete under construction bridge in Gujarat has collapsed, which was meant to be for a bullet train. Have you seen how the Prime Minister of India keeps inaugurating various trains and metros, etc.? And yet you find that the number of accidents happening in our country where ordinary people are dying because we're not doing basic maintenance is on the rise. If you want to understand the vanity project, I'm sorry, you have to be honest. It's not about being political. You have a cricket stadium in Ahmedabad, which is called the Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium. I have never heard of any living leader having a cricket or a sports stadium named after him. But it's happening. And you'll find the World Cup starts there, the World Cup ends there, IPL final must end there. These are all examples of what Karthi Chidambaram has mentioned. This is vanity, call it megalomania, call it what you like. And I will agree with Sunita ji on one point, that end of day, India needs to understand that, if you really need to create a sports mindset, you will have to work on providing all the athletes the right physiotherapist, the coaches, mental conditioning, exposing them to competition abroad, giving them motivation within the country, hopefully getting them sponsors, creating what I call as the bottom-up approach from schools to colleges, universities, etc., etc. I mean, I can tell you, I'm right now in Pune, Sneha, or Pune, if you want to call it that, at Balewadi, which is a wonderful facility where games were held earlier. A large part of the stadium is not really being used, which I think the previous gentleman also mentioned. We have real estate in sports that is actually having zero productivity because people can't access those services.
Right.
Which brings me to my last point, that end
Right.
of day, we should stop doing PR, publicity, and propaganda. Please do not allow politicians to hijack sports. I think sports is basically a manifestation of a country's ethos, of a country's character and culture. And look at what we did to Vinesh Fogart in Paris. I don't need to give you any further evidence that we could not even protect an athlete who deserved a medal because we were not ready to train her as to how she could be at the right the weight consideration.
All right, Sanjay Jha,
How
I
did
think
we
I will
treat her
have to
before?
give Abhishek almost the same time as you do, as I have given you. So allow me to go to Abhishek Sudhir. I did want to get Dr. Sunita to respond to an important question, but Mr. Abhishek, you have all the right to respond, please.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem is, these dinosaurs from the Congress party, the Kartis and the Kalmadis, they fail to realize that India has moved on, right? India is now in 2024. We are one of the largest economies in the world. We are part of BRICS. Brazil has hosted the Olympics, Russia has hosted the Olympics, China has hosted the Olympics, South Africa has hosted the Football World Cup, probably the second biggest global event after the Olympics. We are the only founding BRICS member to not host an international global event like the Olympics, right? Now, who are our competing nations for the bids? You have Indonesia, you have Chile, you have Turkey. Are you telling me that Chile, Turkey, and Indonesia can host the games, but India cannot?
And you have
of
Saudi
course,
Arabia.
we can host the games, right? You need a political will. And you have Saudi Arabia. Okay. I mean, you didn't interrupt Sanjay, but I think you feel the need to interrupt me. But okay.
And Qatar.
So you have Saudi Arabia as well. Okay,
No,
we're
go ahead,
competing
go
with
ahead, go
Saudi
ahead.
Arabia.
Since you mentioned some and you did
Qatar.
not
Okay,
mention some, but please go ahead, Abhishek. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just making my point. Are you telling me that we can't compete with these oil states like Saudi and Qatar? You're telling me we can't compete with Chile, Turkey, and Indonesia? We are mentioned in the same breath as the United States, Russia, and China. We are considered, for all intents and purposes, the fourth biggest superpower in the world. And we can't host an Olympic Games. You're going to have a private-public partnership model. Plenty of private players have expressed an interest in also, footing the bill for the Olympics. Look, you have to dare to dream. At the end of the day, you have to dare to dream. There is a reason the Congress party has got 99 seats and has not been able to get 3 digits since 2009. There's a reason for the last 15 years they've not been able to get even 100 seats, basically, because they don't dare to dream. Now, Prime Minister Modi has put out a bold, ambitious statement. Yes, the concerns of the sportsperson on the panel are taken on board. Hotel rooms are a concern. But if you look at the Indonesian bid, they are spreading the bid over multiple cities. So it doesn't mean that everything has to be concentrated in Ahmedabad. You may have a few events in Delhi. You may have a few events down south. You may want to spread the games. You may have a few events in the northeast like Paris did. Hosting the Olympics is a statement of intent, Sneha. It is a statement of intent that we have arrived on the global scene. Today, India, we live in a multipolar world. We don't live in a bipolar world. And in that multipolar world, India has excellent relationships with the West. We have great relationships with Russia. Our relationship with China is improving. We are the only major superpower in the country in the world that has not hosted the Olympic Games. Look, this is an impossible task, perhaps. It's a difficult task. But let's dare to dream. Let's host the Olympic Games. Let's build the infrastructure. The sporting legacy will follow. And speaking of vanity projects, the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Delhi apparently is not a vanity project. The Rajiv Gandhi Cricket Stadium in Hyderabad is not a vanity project. But lo and behold, a stadium named after anyone other than the first family of the Congress party becomes a vanity project. We have moved on. The country does not want a scam-tainted corruption, games tainted by corruption. You don't want Commonwealth Games. I remember the gentleman who's on the screen with me, when I was in school, I think, he used to launch a vigorous defense of Suresh Kalmadi and the Commonwealth Games, when he was with the Congress party, right? We remember that era. India has moved on. People believe in Narendra Modi. Clearly they do. I don't take Abhishek Sudhir's word for it. I have been a naysayer. I have doubted Narendra Modi. But look at the mandate. Look at the mandate he's got for a third consecutive time. For a third consecutive time, the man has been elected the Prime Minister of India.
Okay.
At the
right.
IOC session in Mumbai last year, he says that we'll host the games. Let me just make this one point. With Thomas Bach on the podium, he said we'll host the games. India's corporates have backed him. Look at the road infrastructure. So the suspended Congress spokesperson can laugh all he wants. We all remember him making a fool of himself a decade ago during the Anna Hazare movement and the Commonwealth Games. In fact, this suspended Congress spokesperson became the face of the ineptitude of the Congress party.
Sanjay, very quickly, 30 seconds, please respond.
When he's laughing,
I think let's just not get this personal at all.
This is the arrogance of the Congress party.
Words at
They
each
just
other. Let's just
laugh
stick to the
and they
point
think they have a
and keep the
God-given
decorum
right
of the
to do.
debate. But Sanjay, please, 30 seconds, please respond.
Yeah. I do
You
not
should
want
stop
to
laughing
reduce this
because
to
the
a
people are
cheap-
laughing at you, sir.
I
The
do
people
not
were
want to
laughing at you
reduce this-
when you were defending Kalmadi. That's when we were laughing.
Can you see, Sneha, how
That's when
rattled,
people were
disturbed,
laughing.
and disoriented
We all
this
remember
man
how
is
you've looted the
sounding?
nation.
Because he has
We all
no
remember how you
answer.
looted the nation during the
Why are you
Commonwealth
All right,
Games.
interrupting,
Abhishek,
bro?
I gave you your time
all
and I
remember
gave you
how
the
you
fair
sold
time
pots.
as I gave Dr.
We all
Sanjay,
remember how
Mr.
you made
Sanjay
money
Jha.
by
So allow
stealing
Sanjay Jha to
pots.
speak, Abhishek. Give him 30
Yeah.
seconds, Sanjay. Abhishek,
Yeah.
give him 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
No,
Sanjay
just
Jha, please
lower
go
his
ahead.
feeder. Lower his feeder. He will have to learn how to behave himself on a national television channel. But the simple answer, Sneha, is this.
Oh my
He
God,
took-
you're going to
he
give me
spoke-
lessons,
he
Mr.
started
Suspended
again.
Neta.
He
Okay.
started again. Sneha, my time starts when this man learns to take a deep breath and behave himself like a civilized
All
man.
right,
on a national
okay. I
TV
have to
channel.
go to Dr. Sunita. So Sanjay Jha, 30 seconds, please go
My
ahead, finish your
God.
point.
Correct. I just want to tell you one thing. he read out the complete press release of the BJP, but he did not answer the simple question. Where was Narendra Modi? Where was this man himself? Where was the BJP when India's Olympic champions, Commonwealth champions were begging on the street for justice, including Vinesh Fogart, because they were trying to protect a sexual predator
Can I
called
answer?
Brijbhushan Singh? They have no answers. These are people who will sell our
Can I
games
answer, please?
abroad for the
Yeah, I'll
sake
answer.
of
Okay,
for the sake
okay,
of
all
the
right.
two
This discussion is
businessmen.
getting
For the
hijacked,
sake
but
of
for the
two
Sneha,
right to
can I get
respond,
30 seconds,
Abhishek,
please?
30 seconds, Abhishek, and I
Can I
will
get
go
30
Dr. Sunita
seconds?
Godara after that. Abhishek, 30 seconds,
30
not more than that.
seconds.
Yes.
Vinesh Fogart was given all the assistance possible in Paris. Multiple people have come out and said that Vinesh Fogart was supported legally, she was supported financially, she was supported emotionally, she was given all the support. And then, for political reasons, she joins these corrupt politicians, the Indian National Corrupt Party, the party that has been the ruin of this nation.
Okay,
She becomes
all
a
right.
Congress Neta. She no longer is a sportsperson, sir.
There's a man
She is
who
one of you
supports
corrupt
Adani.
people. And she has the audacity to
Okay,
lie.
all right.
She has the
I've
audacity
given
to
both of you
lie
your fair
and
time.
say
Let me
that
go
the
to Dr.
government did
Sunita.
not
Dr.
support her
Sunita,
and stop
while
spreading
we
these
are
scam
really
ads and
looking
these
at
conspiracy
hosting
theories.
and
Enough
hoping
of
that we will
politics,
get the
both of
bid
you.
to host the Olympics in 2036.
Okay.
The big
Yes.
problem, Dr. Sunita, and there's a big challenge here, because if you look at what's happening within the IOA itself, not all is well. Whether who is the
Yes,
IOA
you are
chief,
right.
who is the
So
executive
they have
board,
to
who's
come
the
out of
president, there
these-
seems to be so much of back and forth, down and again. No, hold it, Dr. Sunita. In fact, do we have PT Usha's response? Do we have a PT Usha's response on our screen right now? Can we just play that up? Okay, Dr. Sunita, do you want to respond to this? And then we'll go to... Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, if there is
the
a
IOA, our commitment to the hosting the 2036 Summer Games remains steadfast. The IOA remains in continuous contact with the IOC, and I am optimistic that India will be viewed as a gracious host.
Dr. Sunita, how do you look at this response from PT Usha? Because within the
Okay.
IOA itself, I mean, if we want to
It was-
host the Olympics, the starting point is the IOA, and not all is well there. Where all do we need to... I mean, how is this going to pan out?
See, this politics will ruin the dream if we say Olympic is a dream in India and we are going to become superpower and all that. Then we have to make it a desire with passion. We have to deserve it, and to deserve it, we have to work towards everything, from grassroots level to infrastructure to money, from where the money will come. And government should think that public money cannot be spent for these things. So we have to come with ideas. That's why I'm saying this is the time. There is time for everything. So now people are having ideas.
So what are you
and
proposing?
Now they should
If the
come
government
with
is
the
listening to
brains,
you, what are you
the brains
proposing?
which
What
can-
are you proposing? If they don't listen to... If they don't...
This is the... That's the problem. This project has gone to PMO. They have not even called what is the project. This is the concept, India can host Olympics. There's no problem, but not with the public money. How to raise those funds and how to bring the infrastructure which is required. Now we are talking about China. China has, how much? 1 lakh multi-sports facilities, and whereas we have only how many? 1,000 stadiums. So everywhere we have to work like China works, or wherever the Olympics were held, they work for it. Not like Commonwealth Games, please. Commonwealth Games, that was all jeopardized. We had Commonwealth Games nicely done, but what happened? Corruption. So we have to come out from all these things, and for that we have to put all the brains together. Only in IOA, if the fighting is going on or something wrong is going on, how can we think about, dream has to become desire and then deserve it. So Olympic, good, do it, but do it properly. That's it.
Abhishek Sudhir, do you want to come in at this point? Abhishek Sudhir, you may also be well aware of what's happening within the IOA. Who's the IOA president? The chief would say something, PT Usha would say something, the executive board would say something. There's just no clarity on that itself. How does the decision go in? I mean, fair enough, there may be political divergent views, one may have different perspectives, but one also needs to see what's going wrong and where it's going wrong. Otherwise, how are things going to move forward? Who is supposed to steer the entire move towards Olympics? It's definitely not the government. IOA is supposed to do. Where is IOA? You get my point, Abhishek?
Yeah, fair enough, Sneha. Fair enough. The situation is far from ideal. Far too many of our federations have been sort of embroiled in these civil wars, these turf wars. And that will need to be sorted, of course. Nobody is denying that. But one thing Dr. Sunita just said, I think there is tremendous support amongst the Indian taxpayer for an Olympics. I think you had the TOPS podium scheme. I don't think the Indian taxpayer necessarily has a problem with the taxpayer, funding an Olympic Games. It brings a lot of joy to the Indian taxpayer. We take so much pride when an Olympian wins a medal. So I don't think there has been a single country that has managed to host the Olympics with absolutely no infusion from the government. But her point is well taken. We need to look at innovative solutions, public-private solutions. We have some industrialists from Gujarat who have expressed an interest. Now the Congress will say, oh my God, Adani, Ambani again, but it's okay if Revant Reddy is taking money from Adani, but God forbid, any non-Congress government, takes money from Adani, then it's, democracy is in danger. Look, at the end of the day, India today is a capitalist country. We are moving towards capitalism. Yes, we have welfare schemes, we have ration schemes. None of that will be jeopardized. You had a Supreme Court judgment today that said we cannot be bound by Karl Marx. We cannot be bound by communism or Marxism in 2024. So the Olympics would be a great exercise. It would be a coming out party for India. Make in India will be given a boost. Digital India will be given a boost. So many jobs will be created to build the infrastructure. You will be creating jobs. This is a 10, 11-year project that we can dedicate ourselves to. If Brisbane can do it, Los Angeles can do it. If Turkey is dreaming of doing it, if Santiago is dreaming of doing it, if Jakarta is dreaming of doing it, why can't India? Why can't we dare to dream? That's all I would say.
Okay. Dr. Sanjay Jha, Mr. Sanjay Jha, if I can get you in. Mr. Sanjay Jha, let's look at what all the panelists are saying, including what Abhishek Sudhir is saying. Okay, fair enough. Look at our medal tally. If I don't know if we have that graphics ready up on our screens on what the medal tally has been for India over the last 3 Olympics. Things may not really be looking nice, but 12 years in a sporting world is a long time. It's not a very short time. There can be a lot that can happen in 12 years. Why can't it just be also top down? Why does it only have to be bottom up? When I ask you that question, why not have that vision for an Olympics? Why not move with that vigor and work it bottom up?
Sneha, there is no harm in dreaming big, but it is foolish and hallucinatory to try and do things simply because some political leaders in our country want to be the first to do this and the first to do this and the first to do this. India cannot be held ransom to the whims and fancies of 1 or 2 political leaders. You have a gentleman here on your program who talked about the fact that India is a capitalist country, etc. For God's sake, he doesn't even know that just because you have a market economy doesn't make you a capitalist country. India, like many countries, is more socialist and a welfare country. You can't come on a TV show and just utter any nonsensical platitude that comes to your mind. Look at the audacity of the gentleman.
Did I not say we have welfare
jobs.
schemes?
Well, my dear friend, in 10 years of a government, there has been record unemployment and India's demographic dividend story is over. And this guy here is telling us that 12 years later, we'll create jobs if we get the Olympic mandate. This is the way India is being fooled. You have a prime minister who says something about 2047. The other day, he talked about 1,000-year dream. When you cannot even manage the reality of today, You're trying
The
to fool
jobs will
people
be
into trying
created
to
the
create an
moment
image
we
for
get the
tomorrow.
bid.
So here is the
Please
truth,
understand,
Sneha.
it's going to
Will
take a
this guy
decade
pipe
to
down
build these
with this
stadiums.
guy who's being
Try
extremely
to
obscene
understand
and
how
ill-behaved?
economics works.
Kindly keep quiet,
Try to
Sneha.
understand how economics
Sneha, when you
works. Try
tell
to
this
understand how
ill-behaved,
infrastructure projects
obscene,
work.
extremely
You don't get the jobs in the
ill-mannered
year the
man to
Olympics are
pipe
conducted.
down,
It's going to take a
I
decade for
don't
these
want to
hotel
get into
Okay,
rooms
this
and this
Abhishek,
infrastructure to
Abhishek,
be built.
Abhishek,
The
10
people of
seconds
this
to
country
Sanjay
have
Jha, and I will
rejected this
come to you.
ideology
Abhishek, I
that
will
you're
come to you.
peddling.
Sanjay Jha, 10 seconds to finish your point. Abhishek, I'll
Yeah.
come to you. Abhishek, I'll come to you. 10
Yeah.
seconds more to Sanjay Jha, please.
Yeah, this man represents the most corrupt party in this country because everybody's seen electoral bond scam. Everybody's aware of how the entire system is rigged. Everyone is aware how the systems of ED, CBI, and ET have mixed with the political party to loot the country. We are aware he's openly batting for crony capitalists. On your program, he openly said that some crony capitalists will lead the Olympics
Oh
project.
my.
That is a sellout, and I think we should all be concerned. The
Why
ordinary
not?
viewer watching Mirror now is being warned by this man
Okay.
that crony capitalism will run rampant under Modi if they were to get an opportunity to do so.
Okay.
God.
Okay, Abhishek, come in. Of course, you have the right to respond as well, Abhishek. But I mean, stadiums, infrastructure, investment, delay in projects being mooted, all of these are a reality in India. It literally needs an overhaul for the systems to fall in place,
Look,
possibly magically, in 12 years.
Look, Sneha, over the last 2 minutes, you saw the arrogance of the Congress party and its supporter on full display. This man, this guy, just look how they speak, look at their language, look how they talk down to people. This is the reason why the Congress party has been rejected overwhelmingly by the people of this country in the last 3 general elections. They will never learn, they will continue to talk down to people. At the end of the day, the average
Talk
Indian
down
in
to you.
2024 is aspirational.
I was talking down to
If
you,
you
not
have
to
a,
the people.
again, look at this. Look at the arrogance on display. Look at the arrogance
Okay,
of this
Sanjay Jha,
party
fair
and this
point.
gentleman.
Abhishek is
He
saying
says
you are
crony
interrupting him this time,
capitalists.
so let
But
Abhishek make that
Sneha,
point.
just give me 10 seconds. 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Sneha, 10 seconds.
Yes, please.
That
I'm
same capitalist
sticking
will
with you,
go to
Abhishek. Don't
Telangana
worry, don't
and
worry.
invest.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The same crony capitalist will go to Telangana, shake hands with Revanth Reddy and invest in a Congress state. He will shake hands with Ashok Gehlot. It's okay. But if he, God forbid, he shakes hands with a non-Congress chief minister, then he is a crony capitalist. Otherwise, please come and invest in our state. At the end of the day, private enterprise is the reason India is where it is today.
Okay.
The Congress
All
party
right.
inserted the word socialism into the constitution.
Okay, that's a very
And
tall
I
claim, but
just want
that's
to say,
another
Sneha,
debate another
that
day,
we
and I will
cannot
get
keep
both
looking
Sanjay
down on
Jha
private
and Abhishek
enterprise.
Sudhi on
We
that.
cannot
But
keep
allow
looking
me to
on
go to
private
Ranjit
enterprise.
Bajaj at this
We
time.
have to let them
Ranjit
drive
Bajaj.
the economy. Yeah.
Okay, as I said, that's a real different debate for a very different day and a very, very real debate for the trajectory that India is taking. But nonetheless, Ranjit Bajaj, if I can get you. Ranjit Bajaj, you're a sports enthusiast, follow sports very closely. Of course, it's a big deal. It may be a great deal. You may have people train athletes, sports persons come together, have a very different outlook. But can India really come together at that pitch? You've seen the political differences. You've seen the differences within the different sporting federations, whether it's athletics, whether it is tennis. There are some ace tennis and badminton players who don't have a coach in India currently. Let's face the facts for where it is. Within athletics, things are not good either. Coaches, huge challenge. So it's not like it's just the politics of it. If you just look at sports alone, we are not even getting into the infrastructure bit at this point. Where the sporting world is, despite the performance in Paris, it's been pretty sad, pretty dismal.
Yes. Yes, I agree with all the points you just said, but does that mean we should stop trying? If that is the parameter of how things go, then we should have stopped trying when we got 0 medals in the Olympics or 1 medal in the Olympics. Why did we try to get 4? And then why did we try to get 6? And now why are we trying to get into double digits? Because we, as Indians, want to prove to the world we are as good as anyone else. And here I would like to agree with the gentleman who said, yes, it's time. I mean, I didn't even know that fact about BRICS, and we are the only country who's not done it. That's a very pertinent fact he's mentioned. I mean, it's just basic common sense that it's just not about the Olympics and winning medals and the money which is going to be spent. It's also about the image we are trying to present to the world. And while the image goes, it's also everything which is going to be developed around that sport. So if we are going to be entering hockey, we are going to be preparing like hell for hockey for the next 12 years. Maybe in the next 12 years, we don't make an Olympic champion, but maybe in 16 we do. Why? Because the preparation started today. And maybe in 20 we do in boxing, and maybe in 24 we do in 24 years we make another 2-3 Neeraj Chopras. But that will be only because we start employing the world standards today, preparing for the Olympics in 2036, and it will be one of the biggest boosts to not only the economy but the Indian sports fraternity, because we will be number one in everyone's eyes at least for those 12 years. And that's what we need. Sports has taken a back seat for too long, ma'am. Too long. And if the Olympics is coming, it cannot take a back seat anymore. It will be the number one priority as well. And it's got nothing to do with the long gone
Dr. Sunita Godara,
days are
do you
gone
agree?
where we are looking at only, yeah.
Dr. Sunita Godara,
See,
do you agree that
Okay,
sports
Olympic is
will
a
become
dream.
the number one
And-
priority if it's a bid for Olympics?
That's a dream, you know. And if you want your dream to be fulfilled, then you have to work towards it, right? So now the whole country has to work. Infrastructure, 12 years is nothing, you know, 12 years you pass ho jate hain. Secondly, grassroots level. Now we have those 8 medalists, or say we have only 100, bunch full of national athletes in all games, very few. We have to work to the grassroots level where 8 and 14 years old children have to be nurtured, you know. Proper nurseries, sports nurseries have to be nurtured. Then only we can think that, okay, up to 2036 or say up to 2030, we will have champions in hand. And there is, working everywhere, and not only government. Yes, private parties have to come in. But the ideas, how to go about it, from today they have to start. And I'm very happy this project was done 10 years back, and now the time has come that they will call and sit with the team where, you know, they can think that how to raise money, first of all, then how to build the structure. In India, we have everything, but we have to get together and work together, not with political enmity and all. We have to work together with all the states to improve the infrastructure. First of all, we have to increase the money which is going into sports. Only 3,500, whereas China, 1 lakh. So a lot of difference is there, and we have to fill that gap.
Right. I think this has been an engaging conversation. One thing is for sure, it's a long, long way ahead. We don't even know whether India will finally be hosting the Olympics, but definitely that's an aspiration. There's going to be huge roadblocks, if not road bumps on the way. One is, of course, getting the bid cleared. But apart from that, the political differences and the sporting challenges are just two of the many bumps that really lie ahead. But nonetheless, a huge aspiration. Dr. Sunita, Sanjay Jha, Ranjit Bajaj and Abhishek Sudhir, thank you very much for joining us.